All right, we're back again.
Yeah.
Today, we're gonna run you through how to start a clothing brand. Things to consider, things to take into account, what it entails, everything that's involved in getting it up and running. So from idea right to selling and receiving money back for something that you've created.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, first things first is we have to start with the brand. We're banking on you guys having a pretty good idea of the brand that you're after. Having your logo set out, the important part is to have the correct file type. We've added a guide in the description below that's got all the nitty-gritty details that you need to know. Consider how you're going to use that logo for printing. Now, a logo that's fit for a website or say a solid image might not be perfect for printing, but that's where we can help. We'll jump in and help you refine the idea and make sure that it suits your garments to a T. From this point now, it brings us to picking the garments. We've got our logo sorted. We've now got to pick the garments that we're going to print them on. All right, so we've got our logo, we've got our brand sorted. Now it's time to put it onto some garments. Now you've probably got a pretty good idea of what you're after, whether that's t-shirts, hoodies, hats, whatever you want to go. It's about picking the right garments. Now, this is a really important one. You know, whether you want, if it's a t-shirt, you want a standard fit t-shirt or you want to go oversized. There's loads of options there. For us specifically, you can come in and check them out. I highly recommend you guys go and put your hands on them. Decide on that garment, weight of the cotton, the fit, the sizing, whether it comes in male or female cuts. There's loads of things to consider there. Go and do a little bit of exploration and just identify what's going to suit your brand the best. Another thing to take into account with your logo, if you wanted to do some multiple garments and that kind of thing, if you've got some hoodies or something like that, you might do a big logo on the front. And then we might do, something like a half zip. Obviously, we can't do a big logo on the front because we've got a zip in the middle, but that's the kind of thing. Take that into account with choosing your garments and making sure that, the logos that you've got are going to suit. All in all, it's the garment that the customer's wearing and they're wearing your brand. Now, if you've got an idea and you've got a reference that you want to start with, if maybe that's a t-shirt that you've got or it's a hoodie that you've got at home that you want to kind of replicate, take that as some inspiration. You can even bring that into us and we can go, hey, look, yeah, we've got this, it's going to match really well. Take that into account, but picking that and marrying those two up is super, super important in solidifying your brand. So we've got our logo sorted, we've got our garments picked, so now it's time to pick our print method. Digital print, screen print, and embroidery are the three most common. They're all, relatively unique in their own way. So digital print, fantastic for shorter runs. There's no setup fees. You can do loads of different designs, and you're not tied to doing a certain amount of minimums to get the price down. We can be pretty cost effective for a short run of garments. Screen print's going to be the most cost effective option, but it really comes into play when you start doing some bigger numbers. Now, there is a setup cost and that varies based on the colors and the complexities of the designs. But once you get that setup done, the actual garment cost is actually quite a bit cheaper overall. And especially when you're getting up around the 200, 500, 1,000 plus. At that point, that's where, once you've got your brand up and running and it's really moving, you can really make some good profit there by keeping the cost per garment down. Now, embroidery. Embroidery is obviously on its own. It's not something we can replicate with a printer or anything, digital. Slightly more formal garments, polos, that kind of thing. Hats are a really big one, hats and beanies. With all of that in mind, you can now choose your print method and we can start to get some digital proofs put together. All right, so we've got our logo, we've got our garments, we've picked our print method, and now it's time to put it all together in proofing. So in proofing, here at the Colour Cartel, we put together a digital proof of exactly what your garment is going to look like. If you really want to go down the path of physical samples, you can, but in this day and age, like 9 times out of 10, digital proofs are more than enough. So these have sizing, these have got, Pantone colors, dimensions and locations in the garment. And it's got obviously, information specific to that print method as well. So a couple of proofs here that we've done, in previous for our old pal, Josh. If you haven't checked out the previous videos we've done with him, you check them out below. But I've got one of his new garments here. So chest logo, so we've got a front left chest logo and a large rear logo. We've got our sizing here, we've got our PMS colors up the top, and we've got our print method that we've selected for this one. So this particular one's a screen print, all the colors and everything specified there. This is the sort of the final frontier before we really go to production. So this is it's a guide for us, and it's comfort for you guys that it's going to be exactly as you depict it. So the other thing to consider here as well, and something that we do quite often, especially for people looking to sell online or sell through social media, is that from this here, we can actually export you some product images, so that, if we zoom in here and we can essentially crop this out and export them out for you. You can export these images out and you're essentially ready to go and sell online. All right, so something to consider, and specifically for starting a clothing brand, is what we call a retail finish. Now, retail finish for us entails neck tags, swing tags, labeling, bagging, folding, that kind of thing. Now, selling your product at the end of the day, if it comes, bagged and signed and sealed and delivered, even with branded packaging and that kind of stuff, it really sets off the brand and I think, builds that brand equity and that brand trust. So definitely something to consider, something that we're big fans of and something that we do quite a lot of now. It's a really cost-effective way to solidify your brand. Or you can go the whole kit and caboodle. We can do some woven stitched in neck tags with, swing tags and barcodes on them, bagged in custom bagging. That's kind of the creme de la creme of the brand. It's why we call it the retail finish. It's exactly as you would expect to pick it up off the shelf. So consider that as an option. It's a really, really good option just to really set it off. All right, that's a relatively comprehensive guide on what you need to consider to start your own brand. Now, I'm sure you got loads more questions. Feel free to reach out to us. There's a couple extra videos down below. Check them out. You can probably gain quite a bit from those. All in all, the most important thing is just to get started. Get the ball rolling, get out there. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video as well, because we're going to keep posting some stuff like this. It's only going to help you guys, and we'll keep in touch with what we're up to, as well as some extra things that can help you out in getting your printed garment sorted.